You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hey everyone, this is episode 59 and I'm very excited to introduce to you a wonderful guest that I had the absolute privilege of benefiting from her amazing gifts. And I'm just really excited to welcome in Anita Louise. She is, I call her a clairvoyant, but obviously you might have another way of introducing yourself, Anita. So yeah, please introduce yourself to the guests.
Oh, hi Sherisse, lovely to meet you again. I call myself a spiritual guru.
Yes, I agree. That is exactly what you are.
Yeah, so my story, from the age of 5, I felt different. And I remember saying to my dad, I see things, Daddy. I used to see images and faces. And my dad used to go, oh, don't worry, love, that's your Uncle Harry, that's your Uncle Stephen. So from that age, I went to school and I thought it was normal. I thought everyone could see. But at school, I was quite an outcast because I kept saying things like to my best friend, Debbie, I would say, don't take your PE stuff because the teacher won't be there today. And sure enough, we didn't take it and she wasn't there. And so, yeah, I always knew there was something else.
No, I love that so much. And I mean, with having that knowing and that sense of like you can see things, was that, I can imagine that was quite overwhelming at times growing up as a young person that didn't really understand.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was normal because it's from what I can remember, like I used to sit on the swing and I used to say, I want to go home, I want to go home. And my dad would go, but you are home, you are home. So I went through school quite bad. I was bullied quite a lot, to the point where I left school at 13. It was only 19, when I was about 19, my friend said about having some past life regression. Never knew anything about that, but I said, oh, I'm up for it. And it was that day where everything, the light bulb moment, everything I felt, I now understood what it was all about. The lady, she said to me, well, you feel like this because you're going back to being that original soul. You had no body. So as a kid, I thought it was weird having arms and legs. And that's then, that moment, I realised, yeah, I remember being that soul before I was born to this mother, this lifetime.
That's incredible. And I wonder, I mean, that sounds very different to the terms of I guess maybe the clairvoyants and mediums that we see.
Yeah.
What I know of them is that they can channel and they can do those things. But what you're explaining there for me seems so much more richer and like, you're connected to like the root of source, like by the sounds of it.
Yes, the supreme soul. Yeah. So growing up, I thought it was normal. And then because I was bullied so much, when I got to about 17, I thought, I need to get my confidence back. My confidence was at all-time low. So I got into teenage modelling. I mean, it's probably much before your days, like My Guy and Jackie magazines. And I did that for a while. And I remember being in the queue in Smith's, and one of the bullies was right next to me. And I opened the page and, and her face just dropped. So I did that till I was about 19. And then from there, I used to say to people at the work, I used to sort of say things. It was like looking at them as if I was reading a book. It's like their story was in front of me.
Wow.
And then sort of word got around, and then within 2 years I gave up that work because I was just getting so busy. I just gave out my number, and yeah, the word spread.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And I wondered, like, I mean, obviously now I had a reading with you, we connected. Obviously, there was a way that we did that
Yeah.
through like a white light, which was really beautiful, and I loved it. But do you find that you are now like passing by and people's story comes up to you like it used to, or do you protect your energy a little bit more so it's not as much?
Yeah, so also that lady who did the past life regression, she said, you're too open, you're walking around open, you're going to be exhausted, which I was. And then she showed me, she said, well, you've got to ground yourself. And, I'm very basic, down to earth, and I have a job sort of learning. But she said to me, just you'll remember this. She said, just imagine your feet are like roots of a tree. You're grounding yourself. And then also, put like a golden cloak. Imagine that it's protecting you head to toe. So that's what I would say to people. And that's what I did. And that was protecting me from seeing and sensing all this stuff.
Yeah, do you know, that's really interesting because when I had my life regression, she told me the same thing.
Yeah.
She said, you've got to put the cloak of protection on, otherwise you're going to be drained all of the time.
Yeah.
And I do it several times a day now out of habit. Like if I'm going into an open space, I'm like, right, put the cloak on.
Good. Yeah. But I think everyone can sense, like we go with our gut feeling. I always say to my clients, go with your gut feeling. But I think it's when we become so bogged down in this 9-to-5 life, we actually forget who we are, where we're from. So I say to people, have a quiet moment and reflect for yourself. Don't rush.
No, absolutely that. You know what's beautiful about this as well is that these are the practices obviously that I teach with my clients, is to remind them obviously to ground in, to connect with themselves, to listen to their body and their intuition. But what's nice is almost you're reiterating that from a space of like a spiritual knowing as well. So it's like these gifts that obviously you have and equally that I have, which are very different, are still singing the same song of like us trying to come back to ourselves and like self-trust. And I think there's like you said, so much noise from the outside world, and we're caught up in societal expectations that we're losing the main focus of life. Really.
Exactly. Well, you're a very, very old soul. I never quite remember what I've said in my readings, but I know just by hearing you now, you're an amazing soul. You're a very, very old soul.
Oh, thank you.
You're here to help and guide others big time, for sure.
Oh, thank you. And that was for me, it's so funny. It's probably nice for you to not hear me crying, Anita, because I was sobbing. I was absolutely sobbing and I think it's, what it is for me, which I thought about after, is there's not many spaces, I think, in my life where I've allowed myself to be fully open and fully vulnerable. But as soon as I entered your space, all of my walls and everything just like were completely flat. Now, I don't have a lot of walls left, but there's obviously the human wall that we have around us. And I felt like when I was in your energy, I was back to like being just a soul and like maybe even the younger version of me in that space. So, like the very first version of me. And everything was really raw and real. And I've written everything down. And some of the places you told me to visit, I've funny enough have events that have come up in those spaces already. So I was like, wow.
I think I find like my clients, I would say just be yourself, what you've described, and it's, for me, it's then easier to tap in. I say we tap into that soul.
It's so amazing. I love it. And for anyone that's listening that's like, wow, this is a bit too much for me, I just dare you to be a little bit more open, because what I'm
Yeah,
finding now is that everything that we're obviously saying is we're singing from the same hymn sheet in a
yeah,
different way,
yeah,
but also quantum, the scientific way, is also
yeah,
backing all of this up. So we are no longer woo-woo and crazy. We're actually all backed up
yeah,
by science now.
yeah, exactly. When I started like 40 years ago, like guys, for instance, they would think this was all a bit woohoo, you know, but now it's like 50% of my clients are guys. People are realizing it's not just this life, it's not just this life of shopping, all this technology, that there's something else. We don't just live to exist. You know, we live to be this soul. You know, and I believe, you know, I believe we're all eternal, just an
Yeah.
infinite amount of souls, and we keep coming back. I didn't want to come back this lifetime, apparently, when I had a regression. And then for the lady said, I've got anything like it. She had a job to wake me up, and she kept saying, hey, you've got to come back. You're coming back now, and guided me through these steps. And I didn't want to come back. And I think that's because, you know, the early years of my life were quite testing, shall we say. And I remember her saying to me, you've got to come back, because this lifetime you're here to help others.
Mm.
And that's what I've done for the last, doesn't the time go? It's the last 40 years.
And by the way, anyone that sees your photo, well, you won't believe Anita's age at all. I don't anyway. She looks very young. And I think that's the thing as well. What the key is here is obviously it's the way you feel, isn't it? And you've got so much vibrancy to you, which is just wonderful. It's wonderful to be in your energy every time. But I just think as well, for people listening, there's some really key things that you've said there that I think a lot of my clients feel. And it's that disconnect to, you know, one, obviously that feeling of going home to something that you don't know, but also that feeling like nowhere's home as well. You know, a lot of people feel so lost. And I think everything that we're saying to find your way back to yourself, you know, there's tools you can do, obviously, to go to life regression, see you know, a spiritual guru as yourself, you know, something like that. There's ways that you can tap into this. Even just meditating yourself and listening to guided practices will just give you that. Because I think in, like, we're talking about this 9 to 5 like gray area energy, we're losing the track of the fact that we are a spirit in a human body. And that is probably, for me, where it feels like people aren't integrating both into the oneness, you know, like of this experience here. So I think that if you are someone that feels disconnected, I do urge you to try something a little bit out of your box of what you would consider, you know, quote unquote normal, because I think there's a whole world and universe outside of this small fishbowl that you're looking at. And I think that's going to open so many doors for a lot of people.
It will. The more people you speak to, because, you know, back in the days, you wouldn't dare say anything like we're saying, because people think you're completely woohoo. But the more people you speak with, you know, it's like there's so many people who feel like we do out there, and I think they're just afraid to sort of say it to somebody. So that's where we come in and help people.
Absolutely that. And obviously, like, my podcast is called Permission to Shine. So I'd love
Lovely.
to know, I'd love to know a key point in your life where you really do feel like you gave yourself full permission. And I know you've covered it loosely, but I'd love for you to just give us that example there.
Yeah. Well, another little story, because I didn't fit in, I thought I need to really find who I am. So I went off traveling with a crazy ex-boyfriend, and the story was we hitched a lift from Kent, from Chatham, and we said wherever we end up, we're going to spend some time. So it took about a day and a half, and we ended up in the north of the country, up in Durham. And when I got there, I felt home. So I think that was a past life. I felt home. And I started to go to meditation with, like, I don't know if you've heard of the Bahama Kamaris, and used to go to their classes, and just doing the meditation, I just realized, you know, this life is great. And I always say to people, just take a moment to be yourself. Be kind to everybody. Be kind, because you never know what they're going through. And it was through the meditation, I guess, that I felt I was here. You know, so I would urge people to do a little bit of meditation, even if it's 5 minutes a day. And looking back, I feel whatever we have to go through, it's always for a reason, and it's not till maybe months, years later we realise what we went through, why we had to go through it. So what I learned was, all those bullies, all those years of being bullied, I forgave. In our hearts, we have to sometimes forget, but forgive is the most important. And
I love that.
Trust who you are. Love yourself.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely beautiful and so true, you know, and everything that I teach now as well with my clients. I'm really like glad you shared that example, because again, I think we're all searching for these expensive ways to do all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
you've basically done a free version of that in your life that transformed everything.
Yeah, you don't need to spend a lot of money, do you? Happiness costs nothing. You know, sharing, giving love is nothing. And I think if people can remember to do that, not be so sort of rab sort of society, if everyone was kind, wouldn't it be a wonderful place?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And I think as well in my work, like my thing is all about us taking our power back and actually making that a choice, you know, choosing to be happy. And I think when you've had obviously a lot of hardships and things like that, I know for a lot of people, choosing happiness doesn't feel like an option. But even in my life and this human incarnation, like having lots of, you know, losses, lots of hard times for me has just, you know, matured me quicker than probably what most people have, equally understanding that's my like my soul's path as well. But if I didn't learn everything I had, I wouldn't become this version of myself and then be able to be a guide to other people. So exactly what you're saying, everything does happen for a reason.
It's all meant to be. And like you know, it's sad when we lose a loved one because we miss them, but they've gone home. They've just gone home. And they're happy and they're at peace. You know, and our loved ones would want us to be happy and at peace. So no tears of happiness.
Yeah. And you know, I had a bit of a revelation about that actually last night. And I was thinking it's us as humans that put the value in the human body. You know, even when someone passes, we're still connected to their body, and you know, we bury it, we do all of these things for it, but they're not in there anymore.
No.
So it's crazy, isn't it, that we have that connection there, and we put so much weight into that, but actually there's a really beautiful transcendent, I don't know what the right word is there, but where they've just entered a realm of peace, and we're like still trying to hold on to that knowledge of them. And I just feel like that for me, that revelation came yesterday, and I was like, wow, that's a really different way to look at it.
I always say to people, our body is just a vehicle. You know, and we have many bodies.
But we have to take care of this one for anyone listening doing anything reckless.
Yeah. Take care of yourself, and just love who you are, because the years go by so quick. So live those years to your best self.
Yeah, no, I really do. I mean, it feels so peaceful speaking to you. Like I just love feeling your energy. But obviously, your mission here on Earth is so much more than the work that you do. It's also about your things that you're passionate about. And obviously, we connected again recently because you were telling me about, like the work that you're doing now. So with especially with the cats. So do you want to just kind of tell everyone about that, a little bit about that and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's bizarre really, because everyone who knows me, they know I wasn't an animal lover. I used to have these allergies and I couldn't get near an animal. Um, but I've been coming to Costa Adeje Tenerife for the last 30 years. I was actually guided here from my friend's late mother. She actually told me, visited me when she passed, where to go. So recently I got involved with looking after the feral cats here. And it's crazy because I love them, I adore them, and gone are the allergies. So what I'm doing on the island, there's so many cats here, it's crazy. Where I stay, there's some land with about 30 to 40 feral cats. Well, in the last 2 months, I've got all those cats sterilised. Then we can concentrate on looking after these on the land. So that job is done. I'm now wanting to help fund with a local cattery. So this cattery is where the end-of-life cats go. And the cats where no one wants. They're quite old, no one wants them. So that's what I'm trying to raise some pennies for, to help with that. But yeah, I don't know if you have any pets, but they've all got different characteristics. It's something I can't believe it myself, but I love them, and every one of them, they've all got their names and different personalities.
Oh, I love that. Do you know what? I'm probably similar to you, as in I've always liked animals. I've always
Yeah,
been like around them and not and like I petted them and stuff. Never been overly concerned
yeah,
about them. But in the years of my, like, I'd say, spiritual awakening, so to
yeah,
speak, I definitely feel like I'm much more empathetic towards
yeah,
animals now than I've ever been. And actually, animals
yeah,
come to me now, which is quite a
yeah.
random thing. But you just answered my question I was going to say, really, about like that. I was going to talk more about, like, do you have like a soul? Do you find that the animals are souls of, of, we might have been an animal in a past
Oh,
life type of thing?
yeah, it's quite possible, it's quite possible, because you look at them, and again, it's like when I look at people, it's like I'm reading their story.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I find them very healing now, especially when I have like friends here. My friend had a really bad back, and one of the cats I've really tamed. So it came and sat on her lap, and she said an hour later, "Do you know what? My backache's gone." So
Yeah.
I believe, they're very healing, very spiritual.
Well, cats have been obviously recorded through time as that. Like the Egyptians really valued cats, didn't they?
Yeah,
And things like that. So there's definitely something there that we haven't again, I think Western culture has like watered down all of these beautiful traditions that have been carried over time. And it's only certain parts of the world that still really honor that, isn't it?
yes, yeah. It's it's just good. I'm one of these, I like to get a mission done. It's good to know that we can just look after these cats now and for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's so lovely. And I think as well, like, I know a lot of people, that I speak to daily that are like, oh, you know what, I don't like to give to charity to people because I feel like I don't
Yeah,
know what they're doing with it, but I love
yeah,
giving to animals because I feel like I can see where that money's going. So I think that that's also a really lovely thing about this is obviously, and I'll put your GoFundMe link in the show notes. So anyone that's like listening to this and would love to just donate as little or as much as you
yeah,
can, um
nice.
like Anita is such a lovely person, and obviously her mission here on earth is so big. So I think that yeah, I mean, if you wanted to book a reading and donate to save a cat, that would be lovely, you know. But yeah, but I just think life is so much greater than just us as like this little being, this little dot in this infinite like universe. So I think if we can do anything to just help lives in any way.
Exactly. I very much believe whether it's your time or whether you can donate, help charities, I believe very much, you know, what we put in, we get back. Just simple kindness, acts of kindness, put it in and we're attractive, we get it back.
Yeah, absolutely that. No, I think yeah, I mean it's always really lovely to talk to you, and I think it's just, for me, it's always a reminder of like everything that I'm doing. You know, it's like
Yeah,
that lovely thing. That's why I love holding the postcard, the
yeah,
the podcast, because I feel like it's that
yeah,
we're all singing, everyone that I always get on my podcast, everyone's singing, like I said, the same song. We all believe in this
exactly.
this
Yeah,
this like rising, raising the vibration, that's what I'm trying to say,
yes,
raising the vibration of consciousness.
that's it. Yeah, that's it. Blend of like-minded people, and it just gives you the strength, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that anyone listening, obviously, I mean, we've kind of taken a bit of a journey in terms of just like a conversation about, you know, soul purpose
Yeah,
really, and like connecting back to your soul purpose, but equally using that as just a beautiful, I always think like it's like that drop in the ocean, and then the ripples keep going out and out and out and out. That's what your life is. So I feel like when you don't allow yourself to ripple out and you keep yourself in a cup, you're missing
yeah,
out on all the ocean that you can
exactly.
touch. So we
Yeah,
need you to be your full self.
exactly. Be yourself, you know, especially these days. There's so many girls out there, and it's like they just want to copy others, and just be yourself.
Yeah, and that is really everything that I teach. You know, that's why I go into the schools to do the work,
Yeah,
because I'm like, you know,
amazing.
we're just so caught up in that celebrity culture and all of the things that kids are growing up thinking that they need to look like a certain
Yeah,
person. Like I could
yeah,
walk around the schools that I go in, and the girls have all got their hair the same, their makeup's the
yeah,
same, you know, and
yeah,
it's crazy that that's even the thing, you know. But we're so like brainwashed into it, and anyone that's seen as different gets almost penalized for it. But actually we should all be celebrating our individuality, you know.
exactly, exactly. And like celebrities, you know, they still have the same issues as we do. You know, we've all
Yeah,
got stories to tell. But yeah, it's just look forward to your life, and it's so precious. Just every day, do something, do something which is kind, something which you want to do. Don't be led by being bogged down into what you are told or you feel you've got to copy.
yeah, definitely. And again, it's like that choice, you know, when you make a choice, you're asserting your power in that situation. Whereas when you're not allowing yourself to make a choice, you're almost falling victim to circumstance, and then you're not allowing your power to really take reign. So I think that we can always make a choice, like you said, that's kind, that's fulfilling, that
Yes.
you know, makes us feel good about ourselves, but also help someone else feel good about themselves. Like it takes 2 seconds to give someone a compliment, you know, like that's something that is like just a natural part of my being
Yeah,
now, that I've ingrained that into myself. But
good,
you know,
good.
even for if you're someone that is very judgmental of yourself as well, I feel like when you can start to obviously understand that, see why you're doing that, you'll probably find that you're
Yeah,
judging other people. So actually, if you can
yeah.
start giving compliments to other people as a byproduct of that, you'll start to give yourself compliments. So everything is interconnected. And I think that's really what we're saying, aren't we?
It's yeah, and then you know if you give someone a compliment, then they're going to think, hang on, and they'll follow suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what you do, Sherisse. It's amazing hearing your story with you. You going to the schools. You know, I take my hat off to you for that. I hope you realise what an amazing young lady you are.
Oh, thank you. No, do you know what I do now? I think, yeah, it probably took me a long time to find that and feel that for myself. But I think when I understood that, knowing that there's something that I know that people need to know, that's when I started to open up this door to like doing this work. And it's been really, beautiful to see, you know, how my story has helped so many people. And I know that obviously from even our conversation, it's going to go on to help many more people.
It
So
will. It will. What age were you, Sherisse, when you started realizing?
So I was just entering my Saturn return. So I think it was when the pandemic hit. So I was about 28.
Oh, right.
So it's been now, I'm going to be 33 next month. So
Oh,
yeah, it's been a good few years now, just in the
amazing.
two.
Well, I highly recommend you as well.
Thank you. That's it. We're both on this mission, aren't we, in our own way, which is just amazing. So what I normally do to end the episode, which you've already given us really beautiful nuggets, but I think if anyone's listening right now, I like to share like a soul to soul message. So what would your soul to soul message be to anyone that's listening?
Take your time in life. Don't rush things. Love who you are. Find a space in your hearts to be kind to yourself and to others. Be positive and look forward. And most of all, smile, because a smile radiates, attracts good positive energy.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's so simple, you know,
Exactly.
none of that's complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much, Anita, for joining me. And I will pop your link below of the GoFundMe. For anyone that wants potentially a reading, what would be the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, this is a thing. No one could find me because I've never used. I'm very old school, so I don't use social media. But you have my number, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone wants a reading from Anita and they're listening, drop me a DM and I'll pass over Anita's contact to you. So that again, if anyone's listening wants a reading from Anita,
Right.
I'll pop the I'll drop me a DM on
Right.
my social media, and then they can obviously book a reading for you, or through the GoFundMe link. I'm sure that someone might be able to write a comment to say I'd love a reading, then you might be able to message them as a result of that.
Fantastic, darling.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh,
And yeah, thanks for listening.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.